those who want a decent Iran, a decent Iranian government of all stripes. And certainly it has now come time for us to take a very fresh look at the way we are dealing with Iran. It would be, I think, excellent if there were factions within this Iranian regime that one could work with. But I greatly fear that that horse long ago left the barn, that it was not the case in 1997 when a nod was made to a new Iranian prime minister that people had some hopes might be a moderate. I don't think it was the case then, and it certainly is not the case now. Those who depart from Ahmadinejad's and the Revolutionary Guards and the Basij's thinking are sought out and killed as quickly as possible. And the chance of there being someone on the inside that we can work with, inside the regime itself, is, I think, slim to the point of vanishing. Once a negotiation gets going, just as to a hammer a lot of things that aren't nails look like a nail, to a diplomat, and I've been one, quite frequently a lot of things which aren't really opportunities to settle something look like opportunities to have negotiations and write reporting cables. And although one can talk with individuals such as foreign ministers, say, in an Ahmadinejad regime, one should under no circumstances be deluded into soft peddling things that need to be done in order to make that hypothetical negotiation succeed when the chances are as close to zero as things get in human endeavors. One thing we should no longer do, and in this I join the others on this panel, is keep the MEK listed as a terrorist organization. In 22 years of practicing law, I read a lot of legal decisions, and I recently read the Circuit Court's decision in the case involving the MEK versus the State Department. And my experience, and I think that of most lawyers who are interested in international matters, is that courts ordinarily give a great deal of deference to the executive branch with respect to the conduct of foreign policy. This eloquently and well-written decision of last July by the D.C. Circuit effectively says quite bluntly, although it doesn't use this particular analogy, that what the Department of State has done is what the Red Queen does in Alice in Wonderland when she is asked if first we're going to have the trial and the verdict and then the execution. She says, oh, no, execution first, then trial. So we need to incorporate that move together with a vigorous effort to work with those who want a decent Iran outside the country and inside the country. Secondly, we should realize that although it means some pain to the Iranian people, the time is getting short. Stuxnet may have bought us a year or so, but it is not the ultimate victory over the Iranian nuclear program. We need to basically utilize Stuart Levy's excellent utilization of financial sanctions in an even more draconian way. I think what we need to do is to pull together the elements of a secondary boycott, essentially, of all companies in the outside world, especially those in Europe and Asia, that deal with Iran, other than by exporting food, pharmaceuticals, substances and products that would relate to the basic needs of the Iranian people. Otherwise, if you are a German bank or a Japanese construction company and you are dealing with Iran, you should not be able to deal with the United States. You should not be able to transfer funds through American banks. You should not be able to do anything. And the same would go for subsidiaries of American or other companies that, hiding under a foreign registration, are in fact trading with the enemy. That needs to get squashed, and squashed now. I think, finally, we need to realize that it is not 1933, it's 1938. And time is short. And the leadership of much of the Western world would like to dither. Churchill was indeed alone in the 20s and 30s, almost completely. Few friends, but almost completely alone, because he alone saw what was coming and what needed to be done. And when Britain finally turned to him in May of 1940, nearly a year into the ongoing World War II, it was very late. We were all very fortunate that they finally did, and that we ourselves were able finally to come into the war and clean up an absolutely terrible world situation that had killed millions and millions of people, in no small measure because of the dithering of the 1930s by leaders who bear, unfortunately, some rather strong resemblances to ones that we have had in the West in the last few years. So it would be my hope that we would all be able to work on these problems together with a new spirit of urgency and a new spirit of commitment. Thank you very much.
Many of you and your friends and families have personally suffered at the hands of this regime, and you know firsthand both the horror of what's happened and, maybe more importantly, the specter of horror that could happen if these issues are not dealt with. The things I want to speak about are of great importance to the United States, of great importance to the people of Iran, and on a personal basis occupied a lot of my time when I was fortunate to serve as the director of the FBI. I was appointed by two presidents, one a Democrat, one a Republican, and many of my colleagues have served in both administrations of Republicans and Democrats. So we're talking about issues that I think transcend politics and transcend partisanship. And what I wanted to do is give you a case study, which is a case which is now almost 10 years old, the Khobar Towers bombing, but which has great relevance to many of the subjects that we've discussed here today. In 1996, when Khobar Towers was attacked, it was attacked by a group of Saudi Hezbollah members.